let you go.
Welcome back to Maggie Leah Rose. I am currently transitioning my hair into not so green. Just ignore that. I'm going back to brown so I can just, have normal hair for a while. But I'm here with a theory. I find these kind of theories interesting, and I always like to look at things with a theoretical lens. Ignore the cats behind me. I have two. I don't think you can see it in the other camera. There's going to be two cameras. One's just a crappier quality. I will eventually be able to afford a new camera, but for now, I have taxes to pay. Anyways, this is my theory of the Voynich manuscript, which is something that I seen recently on TV, and me and my mom were watching it, and I found it very interesting how this manuscript came out of seemingly nowhere, and that there's not much information about it, and it's all in this text that just seems like a legit text, like the writing it's in, but the script is just, no one can read it. It's not a script that we can identify, but that's what brings me to my theory about this. But first, let me get into some history of the Voynich manuscript. So for this, I'm gonna have to look down and read off this, just because I don't have everything memorized. Oh my, really, Chloe! Teeny weeny! Get a book with a bikini. Go in the window. Hold on, me who's editing this. Anyways, into the history of the Voynich manuscript. This manuscript was purchased by Wilfrid Voynich in 1912. He purchased this along with like many other manuscripts and such from a college that was trying to do some fundraising back in that time. I believe it was a college in Italy. Allegedly, this manuscript was created by an English philosopher of the name Roger Bacon, also known as Dr. Mirabilis. However, it still can't be proven if he wrote it. There is no author on the manuscript, which is why it's named after Wilfrid Voynich versus Roger Bacon. But after Wilfrid passed away, his book got transferred on to his wife, and apparently his wife wasn't very interested in the book. Wilfrid was very obsessed, and he wanted to sell it, and he wanted to it was created by Roger Bacon, and it was this and that, and he's trying to sell it. And then his wife eventually got infatuated with it as well, and wanted to sell it. And then she couldn't sell it, her husband couldn't sell it. His wife eventually gave it to a family friend because they didn't have any descendants to give it to, and then that friend ended up, I think it may have transferred to another person, I'm not 100%, but it went for, down the line until it ended up in Yale University. As for the contents inside the Voynich manuscript is very fascinating to me, and then after this I will share my theory. The Voynich manuscript contains many images and writings. Most of it is about plants and images that seem like remedies from using plants and roots and mushrooms and fungi and using those to heal illnesses. Images include women. Most of the women are naked. Actually, I think all of them are. All of them are naked. And it looks like they're doing some kind of ritual that has to do with some sexual practice. Something that is probably just part of their culture and the way they do things in this manuscript. And a lot of the imagery is sexual innuendos and just basically nature. A lot of it's nature. But other imagery includes maps and other kinds of worlds. There's one, and that's one of the fold-out things. This is kind of a small manuscript. It's about this size, which is my YouTube book. But I remember it's this fold-out thing. There's a few of them in there that they fold out into a bigger image, and one of them has 6 different images of, I think it's 6. It's either 6 or 9. Oh no, I think there's a center one. 7? six around and 7 in the middle. And then it has like a castle on it that's just different perspectives of this world. And that's what leads me into my theory of the Voynich manuscript. Now, this is, again, a theory, and I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but so is this manuscript. This is all hypothetical, and this is based on stuff that I have, what I can see, my take on it. This cannot be proven until we can travel dimensions, and let me explain why. According to the information given, I am drawn to think that this manuscript describes a parallel universe. And now, when it comes to parallel universes, I remember seeing a lot of information about scientists trying to identify parallel universes. I forget what the study exactly was about, but I remember it saying that the particles from going to point A, point B, and they would change direction if paid attention to, and somewhere in there it showed that there was parallel dimensions, and that they could possibly exist, and that they were infinite. I forgot the nitty-gritty details of it, but I just know there has been some kind of scientific evidence on parallel universes. And the thing about parallel universes, is that they're just like this one, just slightly different. And that's also very fascinating to me as well. According to researchers, images seem like they are ordinary, but still unidentifiable, such as the image of a sunflower. I might put it right here. It has like blue in it, and it looks like something that we would have here, but it's not. It's just slightly different. So is the text, so is the imagery, so is the world, you know. However, there is still these differences that make it not a sunflower, you know. This could also explain the odd writing in the book, which I will go into right now. I don't think that these writings are gibberish and nonsense, like some may say, because the writing is just so clear. I can show a little bit right here about the writing. It looks like legit writing. I feel like if it was made up or something that someone made. I mean, yes, I guess it's back in the day where handwriting was a lot better. I feel like nowadays a lot of people have the not so great handwriting like me. I try, but I know that one just seems pretty legit, and some people were saying that it looks like Old French or Old Italian, and I believe it probably is, but slightly different. Like I've been saying, if it's a parallel universe, it's going to be just slightly different, and that's why we can't read it. Another example is the maps of the world from different angles. Also, the incorporation of women in the script makes it think that this world is very feminine, which is something that's like slightly different. This world seems like it's only women, because I do not see men, and it's probably women that are able to reproduce on their own, or asexually reproduce or something like that in this world, just because of the evidence given. So my underlying theory is that the script is describing another dimension or world, and what goes on there. From the plants that are there, and how they do medicine there, and the people and their rituals, their practice, their culture that is thriving in this world. Whoever wrote this book must have wanted to tell the tale of their experience and write basically a bibliography of sorts about this world and how they do things, because it seems like whoever they were probably weren't from there, they were from here. And if it was indeed Roger Bacon, then that means he had gone there. But it would also make sense for my theory of why it would make a little bit of sense if it was a philosopher, because what I see from philosophers is that they are very intelligent, and I feel like he would know what to do in this circumstance, which is, maybe he wrote it in their language and such, because if we can read it, and he stated all these things like, oh, I went to this dimension and this and that and this and that, this is this world, and explaining it to people and claiming that he's the one who wrote it, then people would probably assume that it's just, oh, this is just crazy talk, and it would never get researched. But if he wrote it in their language and described everything in the manuscript, he knew eventually people would be like, oh, well, I can't read this. I don't know what language this is. And it would get further investigated because there's no source, there's no nothing, and people love a good mystery. And so that would be very intelligent if you were to go into another world and describe everything inside of this book, this manuscript. It would make sense if you took that manuscript and you wrote it in that language, because when it comes to the time where we can have that technology to, you know, use this manuscript and use we can go to this dimension, that means we would believe it. Because if we didn't believe it, it would just get written off as another story, and it would never get researched. And many people are still fascinated by this book. There's copies on Amazon you can buy. I haven't bought one myself. I kind of want to get a recreation of it. It's currently sitting in Yale University. It's in a special box, so it can't decompose. So until we can travel into this world, I know for a fact we are never going to figure out what is indeed the Voynich manuscript. Because it's most likely going to be that, I mean, if other parallel dimensions are real, then that means that that's probably the case here. And of course, this is just a theory. And, you know, that's my take on the Voynich manuscript. It is just something that fascinated me, something that is always interested me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe if you liked it. If you have anything else you would like me to talk about, research, give my take on it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Ciao.